No, I don't have a full battery, but I got some battery, and I have another one in the car that I charged up. Bob dropped by. I don't know if we're going to cook breakfast on that or dinner or lunch. I'll let that burn down. Yeah, it's a drop dead gorgeous day. See, at this time of the spring, the temperature's good. It's not really too wet to be out there, and the brush hasn't grown in, so we can get in and around without getting ourselves all scratched up with briars and stuff. And camera is now on. I'm going to step it back a little bit. He's swinging those darn saws around like one of them lightsabers on Star Wars. That means I better stay back here.
What? Well, no junk pile builds for me today.
No.
I dragged this out because we talked about that. You know, the 5 models, the non-XP professional saws that Husky makes, and we talked about them. And then it's like, yeah, but you guys weren't running any of them. So I brought this up. This is the original from the first batch of 555s that we got in 2011.
Okay.
Built in week 16.
Okay.
Or week 17, this one. So, I don't know, I got like a dozen tanks of fuel to it. It's been sitting around for a long time.
That's not the original cover.
Well, we upgraded the cover.
Okay.
Yeah, I changed the cover. I gave you the other cover, because your cover was faded.
Oh, that's right.
It was like turning to milk. What the hell is that?
It's a woodpecker.
Woodpecker? The red light's on. You can't do that. This is one of those things where, one of those models that like nobody pays attention to. This one a little bit, you know, the triple nickel. Some guys like it. It's got the narrow mount bar. This has still got the earlier air filter. You know, you can get an upgrade for that and go to upgrade it to what Walt did on this one here with the new screw-on air filter that's on all the new saws now. However, if you do that, you got to change the top cover. And oh man, do we got a 22?
Let me go chase them out. This is classic.
And this is perfect. Yeah.
What are you doing, bird?
That bird is wearing a still hat.
Yeah.
You know, this is just to show that these models are there and nobody pays attention to them. Got something else here that we're going to unveil. The point is that there's not that much difference between these and the XP brothers.
Yeah.
It really isn't. And you know, I'm not going to push either way, but it's just like an alternative. Not too many people really know about these. Did you see what I found in there last time I was monkeying around with this?
No.
One of the carburetor screws. This can't be happening. Well, actually it can. It can, because like we're here. You gonna like wing a rock at it? It's a stupid woodpecker. It's picking on
He's hitting the steel.
on the metal. Alright, so I'm going to set this aside. If there was ever a saw that really needed some a marketing plan that doesn't have any love, it's the 565. The Husky's got 4 70cc saws. The 372, the almost identical 365, the 572, and then this unknown quantity. And one of the reasons I brought this up, and this is got to go into the demo fleet, but I'll probably decide that I have to keep it and actually pay for it. But saws are in short supply right now, and like any brand, I don't care if it's Husky or Steel, and I can go on a computer and I can enter and see what they got. And they have basically nothing to ship. You have to get in line, and whatever shipments they got coming in are lagging. You know, the pipeline is filling up with orders faster than it's filling up with saws. So you put your stuff in. I got 372s that shipped Friday. They'll probably show up tomorrow or Tuesday. And I ordered them on January 5th, and today's like April 18th.
Is that little pecker right there?
Yeah. So anyway, there's only one saw that you could actually enter, and it would ship the same day. And it's the 565. You couldn't get anything else, and there's like 60 of these sitting up in the warehouse, and nobody's buying them.
Okay.
So it's like, So we got to like kind of put this out there a little bit. You know, it's kind of a valid model. It's not that different from the 572, and you know, so we're going to break one out today. And we haven't. There's nothing to throw. We don't have any rocks around here. That's right. It's far enough. If you throw it, it's going to come back over here. So let it stay out there.
Yeah. Like, oh,
There it goes. It took off. See, last time was somebody was shooting rifles up there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's pull one of these out and examine it. All the new 5 series non-XP saws, they got this dark. They don't have the silver. They got this darker, like a dark gray. I think it looks better than the silver. My opinion. You know, it's the same molding on the side cover. Let's see what's in here. Yeah, a little bit of a low top. If you had your, see, it says professional right on the decal.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
Yeah.
But if you had your 572, you can see that this one's a little bit lower. A little peek in here at some things. Most of what you see here is really the same. This does not have a screwed down air filter like the 572 does, but it's a good fit, and it does have the soft the sealing material here. So
And you got the port right there.
yeah, so you got the same gasket, so you do get a good seal on these. Nobody's griped about these filters not sealing well. I actually do sell a fair amount of these. You know, part of the problem nobody knows about these things is the marketing guys. I don't think they did a great job with these, you know, having everything end in a 5. We talked about that in the other video. Because everybody thinks this is 65 cc's, and it's not. The other thing is the pricing is not necessarily as far away from the XPs as they ought to be sometimes. I do pretty good with that. And some tree companies, this is all they buy. And they're like, we don't need to spend another $100. Now, the thing is, I make a little bit of a shorter margin on these because I want this to sit right exactly between the 562 and the 572 price-wise, and it does. It goes right smack in the middle. And you know, the truth is, it's not so much 572 guys stepping down. A lot of times it's the 562 guy will step up to something. I want something a little bit bigger, and they don't want to go the whole $200, so they go halfway. It'll look good with the Windsor on there. This came off of, this is not new, it came off of something I took it off last night. And so it's just, you know, nothing special about it. This is not a new chain. Because the truth is, this hasn't even run yet, and, you know, everybody kind of realizes now, you got to get about 10 tanks through these things before they really, really wake up. And we did have one of these in a video about almost exactly 2 years ago.
That long.
And to show you like how people don't even really pay attention to these, we had a couple of 372 builds that we were all proud about. Mine was an X-Torque build, and I cut the cylinder skirt and everything. And I don't know, it might be a little bit of a gas pig, but it's really, really strong. You can really lean on it. And Walt, at that time, before he realized that the plating on those highway kits was junk,
Learn that lesson the hard way.
yeah, had one of those with the pop-up, and he could barely pull the thing over to start it. And we're kind of strutting around like, wow, these saws run really good. I had just one of these that was for my Husky Reps demo. Not broken in. And we weren't really paying attention to it. But the fact was, it was just about cutting the same speed as the other two. I remember the exact numbers.
Okay.
Your saw, whatever the number was, your 372 cut, whatever number it was, mine was a half second behind that. And the 565, totally stock, not even broke in, was a half second behind mine.
So 1 second.
And that's how close they were, you know, and that's why all this hype about, this is to feed into your other little pet peeve that you wanted to get into today.
Oh, I don't know if I will now. I think this is good enough as it is.
But all like this modded saw stuff, it's, you know what, yeah, they ran good, but when you just ran this, and that's sort of course the question is, which one would you rather just run all day?
Yeah.
You know, these are definitely smoother than the 372 chassis, and you know, you didn't have to, you know, go to rotator cuff surgery after, you know, starting yours.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's do with the Windsor on there.
Yeah. That bird's protesting now.
That's all right. The bird is gone. We've driven him off. Do some kind of. And this is kind of what we're going to do today. And here again, the new 555s are going to have this color scheme. Actually, they do. I got one in the store. I was going to bring it up just to show it. I wasn't going to run it either way because it's the only one we got on the shelf. And then Lord knows when the back-ordered ones are going to show up. You know, for this thing, as good as it is, to just sit there in the warehouse, and like I said, there's 60 of them. I go in, you could check it every day, and that number's not moving, and everybody's whining about, oh, I can't get anything. You know, it's good to have, 470cc options, especially that's your favorite size.
It is. It works for me.
You know, so you have all those options, and this is the one nobody pays attention to. You know, I sell them for $100 less than a 572 for almost the same saw. Now, without getting into the exact numbers, somebody would make the argument, well, for $100, I'd rather get the XP. That's a valid point. And then other people might say, well, if they're that close, why spend the extra $100? That's a valid point. So I'm not saying, one of them is more valid than the other. It's still a free country, so you can pick whichever one you want to. Of course, if you can't get any of the other saws.
That would be a match of a standard 372X torque untouched. Power.
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go. And it's roughly priced the same.
No, it's cheaper.
Okay, so my question is, given the option of either a 365X torque or a 372X torque, why would you not just take that saw, which is going to run at the same level of performance? I'm not going to get into the whole bottom end thing, and has auto-tune.
Why, that's got a better bottom end?
It does.
All right, it does. It's got the bigger bearings, yeah.
So it's arguably going to last longer because it has a more robust design, has auto-tune. And have you ever seen an auto-tune system fail at a rate any more than, say, a CDI ignition system?
No.
Okay. So I don't understand why this one. We had the conversation.
Most stores, you won't even find it in most stores.
Right, but why isn't that a choice ahead of the other 70cc options?
Well, because guys like Kevin ain't doing his job. No, if he watches this, that's a joke. But actually, he is. And they even had their balls broke by you guys aren't selling any 565s, and you gotta really try. And when it's on a shelf, you got to be smart enough to have that. This is 70 cc's or 71, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree with what you're saying. That in my case, this is like $75 less than a 372.
Then I can't imagine. It doesn't make any sense at all to me then.
Well, I'm not saying that everybody should gravitate to this, but
Well,
it should do better than it does.
Right.
It shouldn't be the unknown that it is.
The argument for the 372 is guys like them.
It's a magic number.
And they've had them for a long time. They're familiar with them. And I guess I had two angst, and I didn't know if I was going to bring either one of them up. One is about the marketing towards grinding on aluminum to try to make somebody some money with a mill or a lathe. And the other one is the angst against auto-tune. I don't get it because, when I go back over the last, 8 years, 10 years, I think one ignition, it wasn't the auto-tune, it wasn't the carb, it wasn't the solenoid. I had one ignition fail that I've had to replace.
I had a handful of them.
But that's it. And it was a 550. It wasn't a 562 or a 572.
Any part is going to fail, and at some point, when you multiply, you got a big quantity of saws, you could say, and that's why you stock a lot of parts. It's like something's going to fail on 100 saws. It's, saw number 13 would be this might fail. Saw number 38 it might be something. It doesn't something can happen. That's why they have parts, and that's why you stock
Have
parts.
warranty. And the other thing is, on this is with the auto tune and the price point, the guy who has like our friends over in Norwich, they got 10 guys. They're going to buy 3 and 4 saws at a clip. They have 10 of them out there with the guys. If you got to buy 10 saws, and that's $100 less, you just saved $1,000. And basically you have a saw that's going to perform well enough in a cruise situation where the extra $100 isn't buying you much, you know. So there's an economic advantage there as well, an economic argument as well.
And here again, I'm not, yeah, there is, and I'm not suggesting that everybody should gravitate to this, like I said a little while ago, but it's an option and it's there.
It's a good
and it ought to
option.
be considered as one of the, you know, it's, so we're going to play with this one today.
Yeah, that's a nice saw. I like the way they look for whatever reason. You know,
Well, you ought to reserve one now that they're going to be popular.
I will reserve one. Alright, we're going to run a 555, do a restart on it. It's had about a tank through it, and I think it has a total of what Bob said was, what, 14 tanks?
This is 14 now.
Yeah. And he did a tune, and a saw that probably would have gone back to the dealer with a problem was solved in 6 foot of cut. And it kind of brings the whole concept of you don't have to have a dealer if you really understand the auto tunes. And see, his is prettier than mine. You know, he's got all the good stuff, you know. I think it cuts good. I was leaning on it. I don't know if you noticed. I was leaning on it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was leaning on it in the noodling.
Yeah.
You're right. It's not far off of 562 at all.
Yeah, it's like, that's why most people say, gee, you really can't tell much of a difference.
Yeah, they're underrated. There's no doubt.
All these, you know, non-XP Pro that ended at 5.
Well, we'll set them up on the blocks before this one puts me on my ass.
Yeah, you exactly sit on the most level.
How's that? Oh boy. Well, I better shut the camera off. I don't know how much battery we have left, but I'm going to drop this one tree. Now we gotta have a closing comment. You can't have a closing comment on a chainsaw channel without a chainsaw on the table. We've already put our stuff away, and he brought those maple glazed donuts, which are gonna go away too fast. And at our age, we shouldn't be eating stuff like that for kids. But
That's right.
Bob brought up a 555 and a 565, and you struggle for what to say. And here's the problem: is when you have really good saws, they're good saws. At his point early on, and I've been trying to come up with some kind of a wise-ass way of refuting it, but it's hard. Is there's just not a lot of difference between the 555 and the 562 when you're out there really cutting. I mean, if you start a swath from one hand to the next, to the next, to the next, you might be able to come up with a difference. But if I was to give you a 555 and you spent the day with it, and then the next day gave you a 562 doing the same kind of work that we were doing here, you wouldn't be able to tell me there was much of a difference. You wouldn't notice a difference, not really. They both cut, and they cut well, they're smooth.
Yeah, the 555 was hooked up good.
Yeah, that one was strong.
That one is hooked up and broken. You know, the 65, you know, I managed to run another half tank through it noodling.
Yeah.
So that's got some breaking in to do.
Yeah.
When we do that other stuff down by me, you know, blocking up all that stuff, you know, it'll get another couple tanks through it.
But you
Yeah,
say
I
that.
don't want to oversell them. In
Yeah.
the sense that, you know, it's another option to consider. They're close to their XP brothers. You know, it's just another option to consider that very few people do. That's all.
Yeah, and from my perspective, when I cut down that old maple, that was an old maple. I mean, that was one where the rings are really, really, really tight together.
Yeah.
Been there 100 years, and that's like dense, dense, dense wood. And I got to tell you, having the extra displacement matters there. When I was doing the ash, my 562, you know, I did it fine. It's fast as I wanted to go. But when I was in that maple, that extra little displacement, it makes more power. And
So one tool that we did not use all day long.
screwdriver.
We did not have an adjustment screwdriver at the job site.
Nope.
Wasn't needed. They were fine. So it's and who knows when the big ones come. I got to do a shout out, hello to Andy, who came up from down in on the other side of Middletown, Orange County.
Yeah.
And he bought a 395 a few weeks ago. Then he came up the other day, bought an X-Mark laser. So he goes, "Well, you guys got to go." I said, "Well, if the weather holds, I'm going up Sunday."